your community. That means telling the Rotary story to the members of your club, the media, and anyone else who'll listen. You'll be asked to MC club events and give Paul Harris fellowships and do invocations on the fly and be available to tell the Rotary story at the drop of a hat. So you've got to have a bag of tricks. How is your public speaking confidence? Studies have shown that public speaking and the fear of public speaking is worse than the fear of heights and the fear of snakes and even the fear of death. I'd like to give you a couple of tips to help make your year as president a little more successful when you're on the public speaking tour. If you remember these three things, I think you'll do very well. And that is, be enthusiastic, be sincere, and tell a story. I refer to Jennifer Jones again this morning because she did a masterful job of all three of those last night. Was she enthusiastic? Absolutely. Was she sincere? I mean, couldn't you feel what it was she was talking about? Sincerity cannot be faked. People can see a phony a mile away. She certainly was sincere as she told her stories, and that's really the key. If you think about Jennifer's speech last night, she weaved 6 stories together in a row of her experiences as a Rotarian, and it was masterful. It really was. I would like you to think about what you have experienced in the past, because as community leaders, you need to share a story with those who you believe could join us. President Gary's theme this year is Light Up Rotary. And I think all of your governors-elect on their official visits talked about this theme, and they said, you know, President Gary has said it's better to light a single candle than it is to curse the darkness. And if I light a candle, that you light a candle, that 34,000 other club presidents light candles along with their 1.2 million members, we can light up the world as Rotarians. All of you, I think, have been lighting up the world in Rotary this year, in your clubs, preparing for your year as club president. But I think you need to think back about your Rotary career, as Jennifer did last night, and be able to capture some of those great stories that you know you have experienced. And this is why you stayed in Rotary and why you have opted to serve as club president. Earlier I told you I avoided becoming a club president for 24 years, and the reason was I didn't really have my Rotary moment until 1999. I remember it well. It was July of 99. My club had not been participating in the RYLA program, and we chose 2 boys to send to RYLA, Dan and Jason, and we were trying to reinstitute this program in our club. And those boys they came back and they told their story to the club, and I realized at the time they had had life-changing experiences. I mean, it was truly amazing to hear them say, we did not realize there were other kids like us who were interested in leadership and service and giving back to the communities. It really was amazing. One of the boys, Dan, met a girl while he was at RYLA. You know that does happen to high school juniors. He ended up taking her to her senior prom about an hour away. Our club is in Endwell. This girl lived in Oneonta. She was the valedictorian of her class, and Dan took her to her senior prom. It was really, really cool. He never would have met this girl had it not been for RYLA. Well, she was interested in youth exchange, and I think we've been talking a lot about youth exchange here this weekend. What a wonderful program it is. Dan really wasn't familiar with youth exchange, but this girl from Oneonta, Willa, was, so he said, I think I would like to look into youth exchange. He said this to the club members, would you sponsor me as an outbound student? And we said yes. he did, and he ended up being selected and going to France, and the two of them were in adjacent districts while they were in France. Now, at that time in France, boys could pretty much travel anywhere. Girls could hardly leave their house to go jogging around the street. I mean, that was the reality of the program in France. So Dan used to travel over to see RYLA in northern France, and they had a great time as youth exchange students. Well, a couple of things happened while Dan was in France. He would write back to the community saying he was getting fluent in French, and in fact, he found he had a gift for language. He actually gave the keynote address at their district conference in French. We got the videotape back at our club, and we had it transferred in from the European video system to the American video system, and we put the thing in the projector to see how our youth exchange student was doing. There he was, speaking in French, and no one could understand a word he was saying, but I mean, we were proud as the Info Rotary Club to have this boy over there. The second thing that happened was he met another girl while he was there. This girl was from Argentina, and after his freshman year of college, he moved to Argentina for the summer to learn Spanish. He swore to us he did nothing other than learn Spanish while he was there in Argentina that summer. But to make a long story short, I've kept in touch with him over the years. He's a great kid. I last saw him about 10 months ago. He returned to our district conference as our district governor last year, Tom Overbaugh, made youth exchange a theme, and he had youth exchange students from the very beginning of our district's involvement in youth exchange. And Dan made the trip over. Dan, in addition to other youth exchange students who he had met over the years, is now living in Africa. And I am proud to tell you, when we saw him last year, he got up and he announced he is a Rotarian. He speaks, he's fluent in 7 languages now, including Mandarin Chinese. He is the principal of the American International School in Lesotho. Maseru is the name of the club that he belongs to, and they've done a lot of great work. And in fact, our district is working with his club in bringing computers to schools that are in need in Lesotho. And you know, above all else, I tell you, I'm very proud because he is my son, and the son of the district governor. So we know that our family has been completely changed by Rotary. Our son would not be doing what he's doing today. This was a math and science kid who found the world as a whole through youth exchange, and now speaks all these languages. He's visited more than 130 countries, lived on all continents except Antarctica, and it's just unbelievable. It doesn't have to be a third world person whose life is changed by Rotary. We're suburban, upstate New York, middle class people, and Rotary has impacted our life beyond belief. So, at that point, I always knew I'd be a Rotarian, and I always will. And club presidents, Rotary is a gift to be shared. I say that not because your district governors-elect all have on their plate the subject of membership and increasing membership, but indeed it is a gift to be a Rotarian, and it's a gift to be shared. Few of us remember who the RI president was when we joined Rotary, or who the district governor. I'm sorry, district governors, they won't remember who you were when they joined Rotary. But I'll tell you, I remember who asked me to join. His name was Fran Kriebel, a member of the Evansburg Rotary Club. Last year I was at the Western Pennsylvania Pets, and I had just learned that Fran had passed away after 45 years of perfect attendance as a Rotarian. Fran was very happy that I had come from his club. I was the first individual from that club to ever become a district governor, although I never served as their club president, as I told you, nor did I serve as the governor of their district. But Fran, God bless him, was a wonderful man. I'll always remember Fran. And had he not asked me to come to Rotary, I doubt I would be here today. During my year as club president, Mankind is Our Business was the theme. Rick King was our RI president. Year was 2001-2002. In order to receive the presidential citation, you had to increase membership. I mean, we were given on the sly the fact that no one was allowed to die. And if someone died, you had to be creative in order to keep them on the books. And I don't know, we meet in a restaurant, I had visions of putting the body in the cooler back room just to try to maintain that membership over the years. I was proud that I had my first member recruited when the district governor, Mike O'Brien, from the Hancock Rotary Club, was coming to do his official visit, second Tuesday in September. And I'm thinking about our board meeting ahead of time, and I'm on the way to work, and I've got the radio on, and I hear that there was this air mishap in New York City. Now, last week, Jennifer Jones was meeting with Presidents-elect, and I know she met with you, and I don't know if she talked about or had the time to talk about expect the unexpected. Okay. Who expected this, right? The governor's coming to visit. It's 9/11. We don't know what's happening. I get a phone call in my office, 10 a.m. Our board meeting's at 11. It's Mike O'Brien. He says, is the meeting on? I said, I haven't heard otherwise. He said, you wouldn't. You're the president. If it was going to be called off, it would be you. It was a good point. And so I said, no, Michael, the meeting is on. Come on up. So it's about an hour's drive. He and Linda came up, and we had like an ante-room from our meeting room, and the board was in there, but there was a TV in the corner, and our eyes were transfixed on this television. And if you remember, at that time on 9/11, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know if there would be more attacks. We didn't know how long it was going to go on. But I told Mike, I can't promise we're going to have a lot of people at the meeting. And he said, well, we'll do what we can do, and we'll do our presentation. We went into the banquet room, and I swear it was the largest turnout of the year. I don't know how many of you were Rotarians that had Tuesday meetings on 9/11, but I've talked to my counterparts. Among them, Jennifer Jones, who in Windsor, Ontario, was a club president on Tuesday, 9/11. And her club stood and sang the Star-Spangled Banner as they looked north towards Detroit in support of us as Rotarians here in the United States. But our meeting was overflowing. We had to bring out other tables, and we realized that it was such a tragic day that our Rotarians wanted to be with one another. We talk about the family of Rotary. We didn't know what was in store for us as a country, but Rotarians knew that they needed to come together for support, to console each other, to share emotions, and just to be with one another. September 11th is a great example of why being a Rotarian is such a gift that I spoke of earlier. When a member is down in the dumps or as high as a kite because of some great accomplishment or great thing that's happened in their family, they know they can come to Rotary and be with their friends. Sometimes they just want to escape to a safe place, and you always have that Rotary meeting every week. And you know that it's a safe place, and you know you can share with your fellow Rotarians. Or not, if you don't want to. All of us have been high with excitement and about as low as you can get. And when you go to a Rotary meeting, you don't know which members are in which condition. But we're all family. and we're there to support each other. And that's why it's such a privilege to be a Rotarian. I have a postscript to the 9/11 story. 2 years later, it was September 11, 2003. It was a Thursday, and I was an assistant governor at the time. I was making my official club visit in support of Governor Perry Berkowitz, and some of you from 7170 will remember past Governor Perry. In 7190, a member of the Twin Bridges Rotary Club, who has recently moved to Florida, but Perry had his official visit scheduled that day, and it happened to be the Hancock Rotary Club, where past Governor Mike O'Brien and President Linda O'Brien, his wife, were having the official governor visit that year. And I was there, and the minister got up to give the invocation, and he said, let's pause for a moment. He said, you know, there are seminal moments in the history of the world where we all remember where we were. Think back to where you were on 9/11. Little did he know that I was with Linda and Mike O'Brien at a Rotary meeting. They were with me, and I looked at them, and they looked at me, and we knew the meaning of family. I will always remember where I was on 9/11. I was with my Hancock Rotarians and my family of Rotary. Well, since serving as club president, I mentioned I got to be an AG. And I don't want you to think that once you're club president, there's no life after club presidency. So I became an AG, and I thought I can do this job beyond being a club president. So I put my hat in the ring and got named the DGND. We have some DGNDs in the room here. Well, the next progression is to become the DGN, and then as a DGE, I attended the IA, and that was in support of RIP Bill. Well, becoming a DG was quite important, but then you think about what happens after I become a DG. Well, RIPE Wilt Wilkinson contacted me by letter in May of my year and asked if I would like to be an RIMCC. I thought, sure, because if I don't, I won't have, other than being a PDG, I will have no JOB. So I spent 1 year as an RIMCC, and that position was eliminated. So I was asked by DK Lee, the RIPE, to become Zones 31 RRIMC, which I served for a year, but they then dissolved Zone 31, and I became the Zone 29 RRIMC, and then RIPE. Ray Klingensmith said we won't have the RRIMCs anymore, so I became a PIRG. The PIRG program lasted for 1 year. Now, are you getting a pattern here? And I'm out, right? Well, I did spend 3 years as an RPIC, and that gave me the support of the RCs that I worked with, and I don't know if Mary Berg is still here. We worked together for a few years, and the RRFC, Lee Allen, and we served at the pleasure of the RIP and the RID, and you know, it's an unbelievable list.
And then it's finally RID.
There is the RID. And our RIDE who was here last night to give us a speech. That's Jennifer Jones. If you could understand all of that, I'll make you a PHL. Now, seriously, we are not an organization with our own language called a Rotary. You know, in some parts of the world, they think we're kind of a cult. We have secret handshakes and all of this kind of stuff. But when we talk about RYLA and YEP and GETS and BTP and APF and EREY and TRF and you know, the list goes on and on. Even our own members don't understand a lot of what we're saying, let alone our new members. It's a real turnoff. So I hope that each of you as presidents-elect will make sure and promise me that this next week in your club, when you go back, tell them you were at the President-elect training seminar. Don't tell them you spent the weekend with a bunch of domesticated animals. When you step to the podium next July, make it a point to speak English rather than Rotarians. Okay? Now, the heart of my message this morning is leading volunteers. You know, as club president, you have an awesome responsibility. You have the ability for one short year to lead your club to heights they have never reached before. Past RI President Cliff Docterman, anyone remember Cliff here? Cliff is still with us, God bless him, 94 years old. He wrote the ABCs of Rotary, which is an amazing publication, probably the most beloved past president of Rotary International. In 2013, he spoke about styles of leadership at the International Assembly. Now, he's since repeated this. He thought he wouldn't be around for another year. He was 92 at the time. Well, he was asked back in 2014 to give the speech, and he gave it again this year for the DGEs in 2015. But I had the unenviable position of being on the plenary right before Cliff Docterman and after Monty Otternaut, who was a wonderful past RI vice president who we tragically lost about 2 months ago. He left us way too soon at age 65. But I thought I did a great job, and I ran out of the plenary hall and back around the back and into the, it's a big hall. And I came in just as Cliff was finishing, you're all wired up with these microphones. And Pat was there, and I said, God, do you think I did a good job? And she said, did you hear Cliff? Well, I was able to hear Cliff the following year because we were there as DGE and spouse, and I was learning how to tie a scarf that year as a DGE, and I was able to sit and listen to Cliff's speech, and it was masterful. Talked about leading Rotarians and styles of leadership, and that evening at dinner, two great friends of ours from Arkansas, Bob and Mary Ellen Warner, were having dinner with Cliff. They're great friends, and we sat down and had dinner, and I asked Cliff if he would mind if I took his speech and kind of modified it for President's-elect. He gave me his blessing, and I said, I will give you attribution, Cliff. And he said, oh, no, that's not necessary. But I feel it's important that you understand where the germ for my remarks came from, and that's from one of the greatest RI presidents in history, Cliff Docterman. So, I hope you've all thought about how you intend to lead your clubs in the upcoming year. Have you given thought to this? What's going to be your approach? The drill sergeant approach has been tried. Do you really think your club is going to stand by for their marching orders? How about the animal trainer? How far do you think you'll get with a whip and a chair? You plan to use the football coach method. Screaming plays from the sideline. Well, my friends, none of those have proven effective over the years, particularly with Rotarians. You have to hit the ground running on July 1st as your year starts, and frankly, how would you be able to fire all of your club members and find new ones to match your leadership style? There's one style of leadership I think you will find effective and will consider during your review. And that is the style of the symphony conductor. Oh. This is my timer. Okay, so, we started a little late. I tried to shorten my remarks, but bear with me as I talk about the symphony conductor, okay? Now, some of you come from large clubs that constitute a full-blown symphony. Others may have a smaller membership. We'll call that a symphonette. How about that? I hope your club is larger than a trio or a quartet. More than 3 or 4 members. That's good. Every symphony, however, has the same players and the same personalities. All of the symphonies I know have a string section, and like the violins and cellos, they work hard. They often need to be tuned in, however, to the issues at hand. The woodwinds, like the flutes, clarinets, and bassoons, cover a wide range of members. They're quiet, and they will repeat the theme for you, but you might hear a squeak out of them every now and then. Then there is the brass section, like the trumpets and trombones and tubas, representing your members who are always heard and never at loss of words to express their opinion. The percussionists are the drums and the cymbals. Sometimes members like them are only heard once or twice a year, but they always announce their pet projects with a drum roll. Then there are the stage hands. Those are the people that set up the stage, not complaining, building the risers, hanging the curtains, much like your club's sergeant at arms. They seem to know how to do everything, and they seldom complain. Now, also attending every performance that you will have this year, my friends, my presidents-elect, are those individuals we call the music critics. They offer their opinion at every performance. In your Rotary Club, they are your club's past president. So what are the skills of the conductor, and how can you use them to lead your club? First, a conductor is prepared. He knows the score. He has a clear idea of where he wants the club to progress during the year. He knows who to call, and he relies on his resources, like the assistant governors, the foundation area directors, and the district governors. We say he knows the score. Second, she is an excellent listener. Just like the conductor, the successful club president is able to hear precisely what is going on in their club. And she knows if something is out of tune. She can make the corrections where necessary by listening extremely closely. Third, he is sharing his knowledge and experience. Just like the conductor, the club president has the training and the resources to help the club succeed. He helps his club committee chairs with resources and knows where to look for help, and he encourages attendance at district events. Fourth, she recognizes and encourages good work. A public acknowledgement of a job well done in front of your peers goes a long way, as is a thank you to those who have gone above and beyond. Just like a conductor, the club president knows she cannot do it alone. Fifth, he develops club members to move up in leadership positions. A good conductor is always encouraging his players to strive for the first chair, to get better and better. As president, he ensures there will be future leaders to help the club grow bigger, better, and bolder. And who wants the same job for life, except for the club secretary? So, my presidents-elect, are you going to be ready for your symphony to begin? You've attended pre-pets. You've attended pets. You've attended the district training. Get ready. Get set. Go. Now what do I do? I have my agenda. Welcome, Rotarians. Announcements. Now our guest speaker. I hope they don't speak too long. Draw the 50-50. Ring the bell. One down, 51 to go. First board meeting. Have the agenda. Secretary's report. Treasurer's report. Good, we have money in the bank. Upcoming projects. Big fundraiser in the park next week. Second meeting. I'm getting comfortable conducting this. Hope the guest speaker doesn't go on too long. Ring the bell. 2 down, 50 to go. Third meeting. Last minute announcements. Whoops, the guest speaker has an Apple computer and it doesn't talk to our projector. What do I do? Get the visiting Interact student to figure it out. That was a close one. Ring the bell. Big fundraiser and it's raining. Where's the crowd? Keep smiling. Talk to the press. Use your Rotary voice for an elevator speech. We join leaders, exchange ideas, and take action. Sun comes out, crowd comes out, we make money. That was a close one. Now it's August. I can do this job. Find a new host family for the arriving exchange student. Hope the guest speaker doesn't go on too long. Ring the bell with confidence. September's here and the district governor's coming. I hope our members show up. I hope the district governor doesn't speak too long. Great turnout, great speech. It was short. Ring the bell. Ball's flying by and our guest speaker doesn't show. Time for a club assembly. Did we pay our dues? We're not on the delinquent list. How's our foundation giving? It's November Foundation Month. We're ahead of last year. That's good news. And the holidays are here. Let's have a party for our families. Who's going to chair it? Anyone? 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 My spouse will do it. Snowstorms and we have the state senator coming to speak. Do we cancel? No, and the turnout is great. He's going on too long. Well, he is a politician. A lot like a past district governor. I'll give him a certificate of appreciation and take his picture. Ring the bell when he takes a breath. Spring is sprung and it's time for our PD to go to pet. Seems like I was just there. Now's the time for the district training assembly and the DG wants more people at the district conference. Let's get our club motivated. We've chosen our RYLA students and they're coming to our meeting. Let's show them a good time so they'll join Rotary in the future. Ring the bell with enthusiasm. Anyone going to the International Assembly? It's going to be in Sao Paulo, Brazil this year. And almost time for our youth exchange student to get out of the bus trip. She's today's program, a great example of why we're Rotarians. Ring the bell with love. It's June and we've raised more money locally for the foundation than last year. Our membership has grown and we've made a difference in our community. How can it be the end of June? What's happened to the year? Everyone is still smiling and having fun. I hope the guest speaker doesn't go on too long.